All right.
Hi, friends. Host Eric here, host Talking with Finnish People. And on today's live stream, as on most live streams, I'm bringing you wisdom of the guru. Yeah, Mom's here to help. She's going to be my ISFJ today instead of Kimberly. Anyway,
I don't think this is the one that is wonderful like you. You guys are better because you do it.
We are better because we do it. Now, look, I don't know if everybody out there in YouTube land is aware of this, but I recently learned that I am a guru. So anything that comes out of my mouth is wisdom from the guru, obviously. So if you have questions like, how am I living wrong? How should I live differently? What's wrong with me? And why aren't I more like you, Eric? Well, I'm the guru here to give you answers to those important questions. Hi, Zaylin Black. Are you ready to actualize? The answer is no. You need to take my $700 symposium first. That's the only way you're going to be able to actualize properly. So anyway, I'm selling actualization for $700 a seat at my symposium. If you'd like to be actualized, I'm going to give you all the secret tips, including how to build your spiritual chrysalis out of chewed up leaves. Where to build your spiritual chrysalis out of chewed up leaves. I recommend a closet, some other dark space. You don't want your chrysalis stepped on while you're pupating, while you're engaged in spiritual pupation. Rowan Morgan, it is a bargain. It's a hell of a bargain. We're talking about real actualization for the rest of your life for just $700 per symposium seat. You might need 2 seats. It depends. If you weigh more than 60 pounds, each seat's only we sell seats by the pound. So if you are, say, 180 pounds like me, then it would cost you $2,100 because you need 3 seats. We are willing to round down. If you're like 181, we're not going to charge you that extra 4th seat. Don't worry about it. If you're 185, yeah, but not 181. You can't put a price on spiritual actualization and alignment, but you can put a price on my symposium, and that price is $700 a seat, and a seat is for 60 pounds only. So if you want me to translate that into kilograms, then you're European and I don't even want to talk to you. Wisdom of the guru. Jeebus, thanks. You know why you love this fancy hat? Because I am a guru, and I know what kind of hat to wear to impress you or anybody else. It's this kind of hat. It's fancier than my normal hat. Wisdom of the guru. Oh, yeah, they love me. Your old girls love me. Anybody over 32 is just absolutely smitten with me. People magazine excluded me from the most sexiest man contest because it would be too much of a landslide. It wouldn't be fair. It would be like putting Jean-Luc Picard in there again. What's that guy's name? Patrick Stewart. He's a sex symbol of the ages. Over 32, yeah. Over 32 years old. Anybody over 32 years old, their panties just rip from their body with the force of a hurricane wind when they see me. Don't stand near them. Panties whipped at that high of velocity can poke an eye out. So if any of you have any questions about actualization or enlightenment, I'm willing to answer some questions about it. I'm not going to give you all the secrets because you have to take my symposium to get all the secrets. But if you want some of the secrets, you can ask some questions. I'll give you some enigmatic answers that will sound like wisdom. If anybody wants some of that, I'm giving that out for free today. Do I like Dave's superpowers? Well, I don't know him in person, so I don't really have any feelings about him either way. I think he's an absolutely fucking terrible typologist, like worse than picking randomly. Good question, Cook Senpai. Define actualization as ambiguously as you can. Well, the good news is, Cook Senpai, there are no non-ambiguous ways to define actualization. So we're good there. Actualization is a state of realization that attains optimization after a pre-optimal state has been surpassed. Okay? You wouldn't understand, you're not actualized. What's the earliest age that one can obtain maximal actualization? The age at which one can acquire $700 to pay for my symposium. So it could be as young as 2, even, if they can come up with $700. Because the real actualization is to take my $700 symposium. Okay, Face Supreme, you ready? Tip number 1, begin musing about a place to hang your spiritual crystals when you pupae. Because you're going to have to be in there for a couple of weeks. Keep a store of unchewed leaves nearby in case you need to chew up some more leaves to fix, weak spots in the chrysalis as you grow. In terms of metaphysically, you'll get bigger. Physically, you'll stay the same size, but metaphysically, you'll get bigger, and that can put a strain on the chrysalis. So you might want to keep some unchewed leaves nearby. Why do I think he's a terrible typologist? Because he, more often than not, gets people wrong, can't identify extroverted intuition at all, doesn't seem to understand what introverted thinking is, basically doesn't understand any of his own non-functions. He thinks that you can only understand people through their first 4 front stack functions, and you can't meaningfully pay attention to the back stack. He's got no sense of slot mechanics. And his idea of objective is that he and his wife agree. That's his definition of objective. Me and Shani agree. Oh, whoop-de-fucking-do, Dave. Congratulations. I guess that makes you a scientist. Does toenail length affect temporary actualization threshold? Not usually, but the reason that urban myth has begun is because it is the case that sometimes unclipped nails can tear rips in your spiritual chrysalis. And so that's where that comes from. Get back to my actualization. I'm far from actual. Okay, well, that's because you haven't taken my symposium. Do I like Frank James? Yeah, I do like Frank James. I think he's cool. I think he's funny. I think he's a good YouTuber. I respect his content. Although he is on the enemy team in the typology war, because one time he said in a video something about how he mentioned some like YouTubers who had good typology information. He mentioned like 4 of them and didn't mention me. So, it's like, that's just spitting in the face of the guru, dropping ashes on the Buddha, as they say. So obviously I'm not having that, and I had to declare war on him. But is actualization only accomplished externally? Only if you're an ENTP, MJ. For you, no, it's not going to be accomplished externally. It's going to be accomplished with your TI and your NI and your, I don't know, your INFJ shit. Mommy, where are you going? Mom, we're not going in there. Come on, back over here. Sorry, everybody. I'm on my way back. Don't worry. Come on, Mommy.
Well, I hope there is.
We're not going to be here for super, super long. Don't worry. We're just chilling for a minute, okay? Come on in here. You can sit in the chair if you prefer that over the couch. Frank loves Dave. Well,
Oh.
You basically must be an ISFP using your action figure test. That's not front 4, right? No, that's back 4. And that's the point. I find it much more meaningful to try to identify deficit areas on the backside or displays on the backside, because those are less conscious and willful and therefore less nuanced and therefore easier to identify. Becky will be here in Los Angeles at my house with me and my mommy and my Kimmy and my Susie and my Abraham. She will be here tomorrow. Yes, I shit you not. Yes, Mommy?
It will be much easier and nicer if once, if he just said, I have some proof that I can do some of that if I wanted to, but I don't want to do it.
I have some proof that I can do some of that if I want to, but I don't want to do it. How long do I have to gaze into this prism for all four sides of your mind to align? Okay, well, that's normally one of the secrets that's reserved for the symposium, but it's exactly the same amount of time as a hard-boiled egg, 17 minutes. And don't go over, don't go under 17 minutes. 17, okay? The problem you're having is you think more means more enlightenment. It doesn't necessarily. The right amount means enlightenment. So that's where you're getting it wrong. But remember, even when you have all four sides of your mind aligned properly, you're still not actualized. Why? Well, actualization comes with a license from all licenses all the time that licenses you to be actualized, and it involves necessarily taking my symposium. Do explain me how TE manifests with INTPs. How is it a metric used to assess new people? Basically, look, an INTP is a logician. That means they are a front stack conscious word logician. They are a backstack unconscious systems logician. So the funny thing is, INTPs have ridiculously horrible TE in the physical world because it's against their first two aspects, which are metaphysical. But they've got great TE in the metaphysical world. In other words, INTPs are the perfect people to solve a computer problem, provided you can get them to motivate to do it at all, you know? So the thing is, they assume other people need to be able to solve problems too in order to be basically valid people. Look, you don't have to be good like me with word logic, but you got to at least be able to solve problems. And the thing about that is, it doesn't play out meaningfully as in terms of relations with polars. So just because you don't validate people who don't know how to solve problems doesn't mean you don't validate ISFJs, for example, or INFJs. INTPs and ISFJs and INFJs all get along fine. The reason is because, first of all, most of the contexts in which they're interacting are not going to be contexts in which they require problem solving. So there's not going to be any chance for them to fail on that metric in the first place. So that's one reason. They're mostly social. They're both alpha quadra, like ISFJs and INTPs. So they're mostly going to be just chatting about shit anyway. And INTP will mostly be ignoring TE. The thing that you'll see where they are invalidating somebody else in the world is if you talk about like a public figure, and there's ways to solve problems and they just fucking up left and right. Like probably let's see, who's a good example of somebody. I mean, that's a tough one to come up with because TE is so worked around by everybody, you know? Like Kimberly's got plenty of good solutions to problems. They're ones she's done before. She's got them in her SIs, heuristics. Let's see. You tried to use the Pythagorean theorem to find the value of your chakra, but I don't know what the value of my ego is. My spirit root is 4. Any tips? Okay. Well, normally the square root of the spirit root times the spirit root is the value of your chakra, but the value of your chakra and the value of your spirit root can't be the same. So you're in a bit of a conundrum there. And I guess probably what's going to happen is your spirit root will grow to a 5 when you enter the chrysalis, and then you'll be able to know the value of your chakra. That's what's inhibiting that ability for you to find that value right now. How does my intuition actually work as ISFP? You do have decent intuition. You definitely have those wow moments. That's called introverted intuition. So the thing is, I don't really have a lot of wow moments. I come up with lots of ideas all the time, and I don't really spend a lot of time differentiating consciously or actively, like which ones pop and which ones pop less. I have kind of an FE sense of which ones play better and which ones don't play as well. But that's good NI. And see, that Face Supreme is NI demonstrative. You might be an INTP yourself. Let's see. But I want to finish answering Jim Barton's question. So you're using introverted intuition, which is kind of intuition that's actually generally more useful in life, probably, because you're collapsing things down to the best thing, the thing that really pops and sings, and ignoring all the rest of the shit. So me, it depends on my mood. I've gotten my NI's gotten cleaner. I'm better at cutting away the stuff that's not as true or resonant, but I still have there's a lot of words coming out of me that aren't purposeful, Okay, let's see. What's the best way I can understand whether I'm INTP or INTJ? They share no functions, yet I fail to come to a conclusion. Okay, well, the fact that you say they share no functions, yet I fail to come to a conclusion would suggest in and of itself INTP, because your desire is to come to a conclusion, and you're probably just potentiating out all the different ways in which you might be interpreted as this or that, but anyway, Face Supreme, you ought to capitalize on these answers. Edit this answer and title it. Edit the video and title it "How INTP Use Ignoring Fifth Slot TE." That's a great idea. That's good NI. It would make the video have a lot more views. Or I could even now say, INTP demonstrative NI. This title, INTP demonstrative NI, ? Something like that. You're an INFJ, yourself feels like a curse. Being an INFJ is a bit of a curse, frankly. W Crypto, you might be. The typical way for INFJs to introduce themselves as INFJs is to say, I've gotten results that I'm an INFJ, but I have my doubts because everybody thinks they're INFJ. And then you go, oh, well, you actually are because blah, blah, blah. So that's probably why Jeeves is saying you aren't a real INFJ. Good morning. It's not morning, Angant. Are you some sort of foreigner? Are you living in a different time zone? The more time zones away from me you are, the fewer points you get in my book of coolness, okay? Because that means you're foreign. Everything foreign is worse than everything American. It's 3:10 in the afternoon is what time it is. Example of ignoring TE. A few days ago, I was trying to push the mower to clean up the edges of my lawn, but I noted the front lever said blade stop, but for some reason I completely pushed it out of my mind and fixated on the bottom lever. Well, yeah, my TE is a little bit iffy too. How's INFP, for INFPs, how does 8-slot TI manifest in their lives? Well, see, that's a really interesting question and one that I have trouble answering, because it's basically the way TI works in the 8-slot is it serves the FI. So every time the FI needs proof of things, I guess the TI comes up with those reasons. So you can really see it in an ISFP, who, because they're less ideational, they'll argue with me. It's a foolhardy endeavor, to say the least. I haven't checked my email in like 2 weeks, Face Supreme. I keep telling Kimberly to check it for me, and she keeps not doing it. So I'm not sure. I've been on Sleepy Week, but I'm off Sleepy Week now. As of today, I got a prescription, and I'm, as you can see, energetic, ready for live streaming. How's my mom? My mom's fine. It's becoming more difficult to provide care for my dad, for me. I wasn't being defensive. I was telling you the truth. I haven't checked my email in a couple of weeks. It's just something I do periodically. I get this little email phobia thing where I just think of email as being these responsibilities are going to be put on me. And I just go, I don't want to check it. And I just don't. I just avoid it. That's my Enneagram 7, being avoidant. My little sister's an INFJ. All of them I've come across are great people. Me and my sister have very long philosophical talk. I love INFJs. INFJs and ENFPs get along beautifully. It's like a match made in heaven in a lot of ways. You wouldn't want to be in a relationship with one because of various things that play out over time. But I call it best friend type. INFJs and ENFPs really get each other and really like each other. But I would much rather be an ENFP, because ENFPs have a much easier growth arc than INFJs. ENFPs, we have to learn to curtail ourselves and get better FE, and in the process maybe have more of a working relationship with our FI. INFJs, they have to get less effective to become more actualized. In other words, they need to move away from the FE interface system that gives them the results they want, But if they want to feel authentically valued for who they are, they need to be authentically valued for their TI, which is going to be a lot more confrontational by nature than their FE. So it's a harder process of growth for INFJs. They move away from what works to who they are, you know? Whereas for ENTP, we move away from who we are to what works. And that's very easy for ENTP because we're FI polar. We don't care who we are anyway. We want to be liked. We want to be thought to be smart. We want to be thought to be competent and stuff like that, you know? And so you might say it's kind of tragic, right? Like, but where's the realness, or where's the self? Well, for me, the realness and the self lies mostly in SI. It's my growing positive relationship with sleeping and resting and rai-raiing and bathing and all that kind of shit. Feelings get in the way of good old ideation. Well, not if you're an INFP, they don't. They match together somehow in magical, moist harmony in the mutually exclusive land of feelings. I'd much like to not be controlled by my role FI. Your 8th slot FI shouldn't control you too much. Your 8th slot FI should be there to serve your TI. In other words, when something makes enough logical sense to you, you'll become attached to that conclusion and be willing to fight for it. And that's where your passion comes from, basically. You hate how feelings make you feel? I'm not a big fan of feelings either. You know, it depends on the feelings, of course. I like laughter. That's one of my favorite feelings. Hold on one second. Yeah, we can't go through this gate right now. Okay? We can't go through that gate. So let's just. If you want to go out that way, go ahead. But come on back here after you've checked out the street, okay? Okay. It is not the case that feelers necessarily base their actions on their emotions at all. In fact, it depends which kind of FI Dom. That means they got TI in the slot. They're able to incorporate a couple of different modalities of deliberation. Would INTP have to find they are for growth? What would INTP have to find who they are for growth? Oh, I see what you're saying. INTP for growth needs to. Well, it's sort of INTPs naturally grow if they don't fail, which means they're accumulating SI events from their past that. Yeah, I did, Michael. That comprise their sense of self, and those things are either self-reinforcing or defeat reinforcing. So it's very important for INTPs to develop some stories in their life that are based on experiences that provide them a sense of who they are and how they can attain a life they most want to look back on, basically. And it's not the case that being a feeler makes you base your actions on emotions. It doesn't work like that at all. Look, FI is a deliberation function. It is true probably for ESFPs that they base their actions on their emotions, but it's not their actions even. They base their statements on their positions on their emotions. And that's a very different thing than basing your actions on your emotions. Everybody is their real self, I think. You just have to look through the BS, for lack of a better word. Well, I mean, obviously, nobody's an artificial imposter of themselves, but it's also the case that not everybody is as.
I'm going.
Okay, go ahead, Mom.
And then try to see the others.
You go see up front, okay?
I'll go to the front. I can't get through this.
Yeah, you can't get through there right now. Why isn't Jimmy watching your mom? Who's Jimmy? Oh, Kimmy. Because Kimmy's working today. She's got clients right now. That's why. And Delilah was watching her a little bit earlier. I mean, you know, it's my job to watch her anyway. I'm just trying to squeeze in a little bit of a live stream here. I usually can. Are you concerned about Adderall crash? I've been 2 weeks off of it, you know? So it's like I do that a lot. I go off and on and on and on. So as a consequence, I don't worry about burnout or crash or whatever because it's a cycle. It's a regular repeated cycle. Damn, that's true about SI. Stops us from doing a lot because our failures really stick with us. So we want to know we made the right decision before getting right. When you build up a repertoire of experiences that are affirming, self-affirming of the narratives you want to affirm, then you're set. I'm gonna have to go grab my mom. She's going in the house, I think, or maybe I just wait for Kimmy to yell, Eric. I'll go get her. We are there to actualize last after we've helped everybody else actualize first. Yeah, probably, Senjin. I mean, the thing is, I see INFJs as getting, like, in some way more introverted over the course of their life because they're in IDOMs, but their actualization course is TI, and even their extroverted function in the second slot, FE, is only as extroverted as is successful, which isn't necessarily very extroverted. So, hi, Sheila. What is your best argument for taking Adderall for getting stuff done, speaking as an any tool? Well, I'm an any Dom. My best argument for it is I get a lot more shit done when I take Adderall than when I don't. And that's true even if I'm off for long stretches of the time. Sometimes I get really good work done without it, but it's not impossible for me to get good work done not on it. But I get a lot more work done on it. And I'm just happier and just more fucking like, yeah. Now at the end of the cycle, I get really grumpy and shit. But this cycle's timed perfectly. Becky's coming in tomorrow. And so is Mark and Joe Shabbat is coming, and a couple other people are coming too. So are certain types more prone to addiction? I think that your action types are probably the most prone to addiction. That is, say, SE DOMs and NE DOMs. But probably mostly mostly the TI types more than the FI types. It's not much of an argument because I'm not making that position statement for other people. I'm making it for myself. I'm describing my experience with this stuff. I do think that any DOMs in general might find it useful or maybe not. My daughter's an SE DOM, and she gets a prescription, but she only takes a little bit of it. She only takes it when she actually needs to take it for some reason. And that's not my experience with it at all. So they're both NE tool users. What type do you think would be most interested in foreign cultures and or traveling and exploring, maybe a beta quadrant thing? I don't know about that, Angatir. You know, my dad's really into that. And he's a ESTJ third slot NE. I think third slot NE might be into that, but also yeah, whatever. Are we having a typing gangbang at our house tomorrow? We're gonna have some. I mean, I don't know. They're hold on, I'm getting a phone call. I'm gonna probably have to grab my mom. So. Hello. Hello. Call failed. So cheese does actualize every type eventually, but I mean, if you're going to rely just on cheese to actualize, you're going to eat a lot of cheese. What type? Oh, I already read all that stuff. Okay. So, what am I talking about? Oh, right. Actualization. Is actualization actually a thing? To be serious about it for a second. I think optimization is an actual thing. Like people get more or less optimal. They manifest themselves in more or less optimal form as they grow older. It's not necessarily the case that you get better. You could get worse. And lots of people do. I've gotten better, but I got worse before I got better. In other words, I went from chaotic and crazy to a drunk to chaotic and crazy to something a little bit better than that now. You know, I'm more human. I'm more SI. I'm more aware of what's important to me, and stuff like that. So I'm more optimally functioning than I used to. But am I actualized or enlightened? If those words mean what we typically think they mean, I don't think anybody ever is actualized or enlightened. I think it's an absurd notion. You know, what does that mean? How would I know when I'm actualized or enlightened? Would it be I'd never be sad anymore? Would it be I'd never be grumpy? I'd never be wrong, or what? You know, it's like, what the fuck does it even mean? The thing to remember is no matter how low shit gets in life, redemption is always possible. And as long as you remember that and choose to seek it at some point, then you'll be all right. You know? How would you define addiction? And is it always a bad thing? I don't really define the word much because I don't think it's much of a meaningful word. People are habituated to various things. The only kind of real technical addiction is the one where if you stop doing it, you get withdrawal symptoms. By that definition, I'd be addicted to cigarettes only. Whatever kind of withdrawal I might get from marijuana is not worth noting in any sense, because there's plenty of times that I go long stretches or short stretches. It's not like cigarettes. I can go all day without smoking any weed if I'm busy and just not thinking about it, you know. If I'm sitting out here and the weed's in front of me, I'll probably smoke a fair amount of it. So, you know, whatever. That's just like indulgence and habit. That's not meaningfully addiction in any sense. But cigarettes, if I don't have a cigarette periodically, then I'll start getting really like this. I'll just be like, "What's wrong? There's something wrong." Shit, what? Oh, I need a cigarette. You know. So. Okay. Yeah, come in. All right. Anyway, I'm back. I just had to come get my mom. Come on, Mom. This way, over here, Mom. Come on. You get the feeling I'm a doctor? I'm like a doctor. I'm a guru. Come on, Mom. Come on in the garage here.
No, I would suggest that you do. I'm not asking to be married.
I know you're not asking to be married to me, Mom. I'm glad you're not asking. Go ahead, go on in, please.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's very kind of you.
What I think is the best is if they get enough that we can put it on a big piece of paper and put it away, then they'll make it, and that'll be their job.
And that'll be their job. That's true. Well, I hope you guys had fun in my absence. I was going and getting my mom, who was trying to talk to Kimberly and her client.
Oh.
No, she doesn't go play in traffic. The reason I have to keep an eye on her all the time like now is because Kim's working. And she wants to go talk to Kimberly about whatever, but Kimberly's working, so Kimberly can't be talked to right now. So sometimes, like what I just did was let her go find Kimberly, taking the long way around, and then wait for Kimberly to yell, "Eric!" And then I go get her. You know? So that's one of my little strategies there. So anyway, my mom was saying sometimes to me that sometimes she gets the feeling that I'm a doctor. And I explained to her, no, I'm not a doctor. I'm a guru. The only thing I can prescribe is enlightenment. So if those of you guys aren't aware yet, if you just joined the live stream and you're not aware, I am providing wisdom from the guru. Kimberly is a hairdresser, and she has a hairdressing salon here in our house. It's got one of those sinks you lay back in with the scoop in it, so you put your neck there and get your hair washed. She's got one of those dryers that you put over your head, you know. She's got a barber chair in there, you know, that you can step up and it goes up and down. and mirrors and all this shit. You know, she's a hairdresser. She's got like 60 clients or something to come about every month. And a lot of old ladies, but not just old ladies, a lot of families too. And so, like ladies send their sons to get their regular boy haircuts here. And but she does more complicated shit too. She does a lot of like hair dyeing and perms and stuff like that. Does she do waxing? I mean, I know she has the setup for it because I asked her one time what that thing was, and she said it was for melting wax. And so I know she has the setup, but I don't really think I ever really see her doing it. Doctors are just ISTJs. My doctor is an ISTP. And I realized that last time I went to the doctor when I was talking to him. And I made some sort of statements about my physical condition or state of being, and he just repeated it in the same exact words to me. I was like, oh, no wonder I was able to talk you into prescribing Adderall for me. I'm your supervisor type. It's not just my magical wordplay. It's the fact that you're an ISTP. Convenient. Of course, in general, in life, if there's shit like that, where you got to talk to a professional, right? Like a doctor or something, and get their approval on something, it really helps to be well-spoken and sound fancy and, you know, sound educated and shit. If you can do that, then there's sort of this little professional courtesy thing that happens where, oh, well, you know, you're obviously a smart guy. I don't need to worry about you. So.
Okay, have you finished?
No, I'm not quite done yet, Mom. But
okay, well, I was not trying to get you. No, I wasn't.
I know, but Kimberly is working right now. So you can't talk to her because she's with her client right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and we're going to be going in about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, okay?
Okay.
So just relax for a little bit.
Okay.
And then we'll go. All right? And then we'll go inside. I'm going to sit you on the TV. I got to take a bath, and I got to go take you home and go to work. It's a long day today for me today. I've had a lot of shit I had to do. I had to go get Mom from Arcadia, which is about 40-minute drive with a little bit of traffic, depending. Then I had to go down to Long Beach, which is another big drive, and back to Arcadia. That was an hour and a half round trip there. Drop off the prescription, take Mom to lunch at Moffat's Chicken Pot Pie, in which she insisted on trying to chat with everybody we saw. There's always a challenge because at first everybody thinks, oh, well, somebody's trying to talk to me. I'm trying to talk to them. And then they go like, well, what is she saying? You know.
How do you open this? It's locked and I can't get it open.
All right, you just got to give it a push on the left side there, Mom.
On the left side. Okay.
Yeah.
There.
See, there you go. You got it open. But remember, you can't go through that gate. You got to go around, okay? She's getting antsy.
Okay,
I'm going to have to
go all the way around and come back?
Yeah, go all the way around and come back. It's a good idea.
Okay, I'll try, but I'm not going to be your wife.
Mom, I don't want you to be my wife.
Good, I'm glad.
You're my mom.
You're not my mother.
I didn't say I was your mother. I said you are my mother. This is the second time today she said she wants to make sure that I know that she doesn't want to marry me.
The air is really starting.
And I'm like, Mom, I know I don't. Yeah, I don't want to marry you either, Mom. What does Kimmy charge? It depends on the procedure. For boys' haircuts, she just often charges $20. You know, it depends. It's like if the boy is paying for it himself, then she'll charge him like $17 so they can give her a $3 tip or something. If the mom's paying for it, she'll charge $20, gets 25 out of it or something. That's for a boy's haircut. For like a color and perm, I don't know. Sometimes she makes it depends on the procedure. Sometimes one client will pay her like almost $200, but she'll be with that client for hours, you know? So I don't know. Sweaty sack or wax. I don't think Kimberly does sweaty sack waxes. I think she only does sweatless sack waxes. So you're going to have to dry your sack prior to getting it waxed. Can INFP be alpha males? If they're hanging out with a bunch of ENTPs. I mean, an INFP male and me hanging out, INFP male will be the alpha because I'll feel supervised the whole time. I've seen it happen every time I type one of them. I feel so under scrutiny. I don't know if she does sack coloring. I think that you have to go to a henna professional for that. How does fifth slot NE work? Well, fifth slot NE works by same way that my NI works, which is it's pretty active, pretty robust, but not conscious, not willful. I would love to continue live streaming, but I guess I should probably draw this to a close, go chase down my mom, and get ready to take her back to her house because she's getting very antsy. So thank you all for being here. And I do have a reminder for you before I go. Matthew, listen, next time you come to my house, I'll do it for you. I'll wax and color your sweaty sack. Okay? I'll put on my most toxic waste proof gloves and a full beekeeper suit, and I'll do it for you. All right. Sinjin, tired of SIs regurgitating common sense. Is that what I'm doing right now? Dark Prince, am I just regurgitating common sense? Maybe. That's quite possible. But, what else am I going to regurgitate? Uncommon sense? No, I'm going to keep that down. That's not coming back up. Kimmy doesn't charge for sack wax? Oh, yeah, she charges a lot. It'll cost you $4,000. It'll probably be me doing it, but anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.